Hello, grade 10 students, and welcome to our discussion of the worksheet I gave you on eating disorders, entitled Doctors' Failings on Eating Disorders Cost Lives. Eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia. As usual, we start by reading the blurb, this part here, which usually contains the main idea of the text or article. Read the below selection in which the author highlights the failure of doctors on finding suitable measures to deal with people with eating disorders. Then answer the questions that follow. Paragraph 1. Lack of understanding of eating disorders among doctors is resulting in too many avoidable deaths, with medical staff receiving too little training, a parliamentary select committee has found. So what the author is saying here is that the medical staff is not trained to identify or to deal with what an eating disorder is, which could result in very dangerous consequences. Paragraph 2, training on eating disorders in medical schools is limited to just a few hours, but junior doctors and GPs need significantly more, according to a report by the Commons Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee published on Tuesday. The report also identifies a series of failures by the NHS to act on previous recommendations for improving care of patients. Obviously, NHS is the branch of government that deals with health. Paragraph 2, a 2017 report by the Parliamentary and Health Services Ombudsman, PHSO, which examined failures over the 2012 death of Avril Hart, 19, and two other women, called for more training of doctors, improving coordination of services, and investigating potential failings in previous serious incidents. 4. But the committee said not enough action has been taken to implement them fully across the NHS. It called on the General Medical Council to use its influence to ensure medical schools improved training. Some studies suggest that up to 1.25 million people in the UK may be suffering from eating disorders, which are said to have the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses. Yet the committee was shocked to discover the NHS did not have precise information on the prevalence of eating disorders. It called on NHS England to commission a population-based study. Okay, and notice how here 1.225 million people in the UK may be suffering from eating disorders, which are said to have the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses. So an eating disorder such as anorexia or bulimia is considered a mental illness. And as you probably know, anorexia is that disease where a person sees a distorted or different image of their actual body. They view themselves as fat while they are skinned or very, very skinny, almost to the bone. So this is a mental illness, and it is has the highest mortality rate among all mental illnesses. Yet the committee was shocked to discover the NHS did not have precise information on the prevalence of eating disorders. Okay. Paragraph 6. Many doctors focused only on using body mass index, BMI, to determine whether to offer treatment, even though NHS guidelines recommend avoiding using single measures, the report said. It found few patients had access to an NHS eating disorders specialist. 7. There were difficulties for patients transitioning from child to adult care aged 18. Patients often faced unacceptably long waiting times for adult mental health care at a difficult time when they were moving from school to university. The quality of care was often a postcode lottery. Some patients were discharged when they reached a certain weight with no guarantee their mental health had recovered, the report found. Paragraph 8. It was essential for the NHS learned from previous serious incidents. Nick Hart, the father of Avril Hart from Newton, Suffolk, who died from anorexia, had been in constant correspondence with more than 6 organizations before any formal investigation was launched into his daughter's death, the report stated. Paragraph 9, the committee chairperson, Sir Bernard Jenkins, MP, said, MP means he is in the Parliament, in the British Parliament. My committee found serious failings in NHS care for people with eating disorders. Doctors only receive a couple of hours of training. Patients are left waiting for months for care. And the NHS doesn't even have accurate data on the number of people suffering from an eating disorder throughout the UK. We cannot risk any more avoidable deaths from eating disorders. Eating disorders are complex mental and physical health illnesses and deserve dedicated training, specialist care, and a commitment from the NHS to learn from their own mistakes. Paragraph 11. It has been nearly 2 years since the PHSO reporting on how NHS eating disorder services are failing patients. The government needs to adopt a sense of urgency to stop this problem from spiraling, and my committee is calling for swift action to address deficiencies in care, he added. Deficiencies are failings or shortcomings. Paragraph 12, the General Medical Council said it did not have power over medical school curricula. Professor Colin Melville, Director of Education and Standards for the GMC, said it has been doing all it can to influence positive change, including writing to every medical school to ask how and where they include eating disorder in their curricula. Okay, the curricula is what is the plural of curriculum, is what a person studies for a given class or a given major. Okay, so obviously in the curriculum of medical school, those doctors are not getting enough treatment. The treatment are not getting enough training, in order to deal with those patients. So this is why many of those patients are dying. Paragraph 13, we are determined to continue working with medical schools, royal colleges, doctors, and the wider health system to ensure these complex issues are taught and the patients are identified and supported with appropriate clinical care, he said. By Caroline Davis, Tuesday, 18 June 2019. So this is a pretty recent article, meaning that this issue is still going on nowadays. Okay, now let's move on to the first part of our worksheet. Answering comprehension questions based on paragraph 2. What are the factors that increase the number of eating disorders? Answer, there are many main factors which contribute to the increase in the number of people with eating disorders. First, doctors only receive a few hours of training, which is not enough to deal with their patients in a proper way. Second, the NHS has failed on taking into consideration the prior suggestions for improving care for patients. Based on paragraph 4, pick a suggested measure that can be taken to help people with eating disorders. Answer, one of the suggested measures is that the General Medical Council should provide medical schools with dedicated training so patients with eating disorders can have specialist care. Number 3, in reference to paragraph 7, state 2 main obstacles that patients encountered. First, as we read, first, patients did not receive proper care when they were in need. They have waited for a long time, a fact which aggravates or makes the situation worse. Second, several patients were discharged when they become of a certain weight, which negatively affects their mental health too. Maybe they haven't recovered yet, but they are discharged. 4, based on paragraph 12, infer the role of medical school in reducing the rate of eating disorders. How can medical school do that? Obviously, we talked about how changes need to be done in the curriculum. One can infer that medical school should play a significant role to reduce the number of people with eating disorders. Eating disorders should be part of their curriculum. They should teach their students how to follow a healthy lifestyle and how to stay healthy to avoid the negative consequences of these disorders on human well-being. Okay. Now moving on to the organizational skills questions, which we will discuss in detail. What is the thematic relationship between paragraphs 3 and 4? This is paragraph 3 and this is paragraph 4. We notice immediately that paragraph 4 starts with the word but. However, we need to read first before we make any quick conclusions. In paragraph 4, a 2017 report by the Parliamentary and Health Services, which explained failures over the 2012 death of Avril Hart, etc., called for more training, improving coordination, investigating, etc. But the committee said not enough action has been taken. So here the paragraph is discussing what needs to be done, and here it's saying that yet or but not enough has been done. So answer, the thematic relationship between paragraphs 3 and 4 is one of idea contrast. Paragraph 3 shows the 2017 report, which called for more training of doctors, improving coordination, and more investigation to reduce eating disorders cases. Whereas, or however, paragraph 9 reveals that no sufficient action has been taken to implement the recommendations entirely across the NHS. Okay, this is paragraph 4, I'm sorry. Okay, second organizational skills question. Pick out from paragraphs 3 and 9 two types of supporting evidence the writer relies on. What purpose or purposes do they serve? Paragraph 3, let's take a look at paragraph 3. First of all, 2017 report by Parliamentary and Health Services, PHSO. This is a real name, so it means real life example. Okay. Paragraph 9, Sir Bernard Jenkins, who is an MP, Member of Parliament in the UK. So obviously this guy is a figure of authority or an expert. Okay. So answer, the writer uses many types of evidence. In paragraph 3, he mentions the recommendation of 2000 reports, which was conducted by a real organization, PHSO. And in paragraph 9, he uses a quotation by an expert. My committee found serious failings in NHS, people suffering from an eating disorder. The purpose behind these is to achieve objectivity, accuracy, and credibility. Okay. You can also here say quotation by an expert who is an MP and mention his name. That would be even better. Okay, Sir Bernard Jenkins, who is an expert. Number 3, what adjective or adjectives best describe the writer's tone in paragraph 10? Here is paragraph 10 displayed. We cannot risk any avoidable deaths from eating disorders. Eating disorders are complex mental and physical health illnesses and deserve dedicated training, specialist care, and a commitment from the NHS to learn from their own mistakes. So the choice of words here, we cannot risk, learn from their mistakes. So what tone do you see here? Okay. The writer's tone in paragraph 7 seems to be warning, alarming, and alerting. They need to learn from their mistakes. The writer warns that eating disorders are dangerous, so we cannot risk any more avoidable deaths. A dedicated training specialist, care, and a commitment is a must to avoid having more victims. Okay, moving on. Number 4, paraphrase the following statement extracted from paragraph 11. Okay, in order to paraphrase, first of all, you need to go back to the context of this sentence, okay, which is paragraph 11, see what context it is in. And when we paraphrase, it means we have to explain in our own words, okay? Make it simpler and, of course, write in third person. There are rules to paraphrasing. First of all, you need to start with a citation. What is your source here? In paragraph 11 of the text entitled Doctors' Failings on Eating Disorders Cost Lives, comma, so I cited. The committee chairperson states that the government officials need to consider eating disorders as a priority issue which needs to be tackled to avoid increasing the number of victims. He also states that his committee needs to address the shortages and call for a quick action. Notice here, the paraphrasing is longer than the original sentence. It's different. different from the summary. The summary, we make it smaller, we take the main idea. In paraphrasing, we make it bigger, we expand on the idea and we explain it further. Okay? Moving on, vocabulary in context. Refer to paragraphs 5 and 11 to find words that can best replace the underlined words in the sentence below. We already have a context here. Fatality from heart disease varies widely across the world. Obviously, fatality means mortality or death. Okay? Police have stressed, this of course is found in the paragraphs, police have stressed that this is the most accurate description of the killer to date. Accurate means correct or precise. The word precise is found in the paragraphs. 3. Plants under stress from drought. Drought is a dry season where there is no rain or water. Diseases or nutrients insufficiencies are the most likely to attract insect pests. Insufficiencies or insufficient means deficiencies. Lack of something, a very big shortage of something. If a person has an iron deficiency, for example, their blood count is low. Okay, if they have a calcium deficiency, they are low on calcium. The number 4, the rapid expansion of cities can cause social and economic problems. Rapid means quick, or in the paragraph, swift. Okay. Finally, we come to the pronoun reference. What does each underlined pronoun in the selection above refer to? It in paragraph 5, I displayed the paragraphs for you here. Yet the committee, let's start from here. Read before and read after. Yet the committee was shocked to discover the NHS did not have precise information on the prevalence of eating disorders. It called on NHS England to commission. So obviously we're talking about the committee. The answer here refers, it in paragraph 5 refers to the committee. That's number 1. Now number 2, there in paragraph 7, here, read before, read after. Patients often faced unacceptably long waiting times for adult mental health care at a difficult time when they were moving from school to university. The quality of care was often a postcode lottery. Some patients were discharged when they reached a certain weight with no guarantee of their mental health. Obviously, this is referring to patients. There refers to patients. Again, in complete sentences with a full stop at the end, please. Number 3, his in paragraph 8. Okay, there it is. Nick Hart, the father of Avril Hart, who died because of anorexia, okay, had been in constant correspondence with more than 6 organizations before any formal investigation was launched into his daughter's death. So obviously, his refers to Nick Hart, the father of Avril Hart. Number 4, he in paragraph 11. Let's start from here. The government needs to adopt a sense of urgency to stop this problem from spiraling, and my committee is calling for swift action to address deficiencies in care, he added. Okay. It is, when you read further on, this the person who was talking here was Sir Bernard Jenkins, the MP. Okay. Okay, this was the previous paragraph. Sir Bernard Jenkins started speaking, and this is the next part of his quotation. Okay. So as I said and as I stressed, you have to read before. Sometimes the referent is in the previous paragraph, as is the case in he here. Okay, sometimes it's in the same paragraph, sometimes it's in the same sentence, the previous one or the latter one. You have to be very careful. Okay, so this is it for today's worksheet. We'll discuss this further. For any questions, we will be talking about this during live Zoom. Take care. Bye.